very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're more than welcome to another episode 72 of the Coffee at 11 show, brought to you by wigwam.ie SME Peer Support. Delighted to have you join us on a Tuesday morning here in lockdown heaven. It's also a delight for me to introduce a young man that I met very recently, and I've been so impressed by this young man's view of the world that I thought we have to bring him in because he's definitely a person worth meeting. My pleasure, Mark. Maxwell, you're very welcome. Please say hello and show us your coffee mug. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colin. So my coffee mug isn't actually a coffee mug. I can't drink coffee because of my heart. It's a tea mug, and it's called Mr. T after the guy in the A-Team. So it's a little clever little play on words, but it's a tea mug as opposed to a coffee mug for sure.
And Mark, that'll do absolutely fine. You're more than welcome. Delighted. That's a lovely introduction, by the way. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Kathy Merrick coaches cross-country running for girls, so she's well impressed with your 11-second 100 meters. I mean, you know, ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine this man, you know, 120 kilos, and you're at the end of those 100 meters and he hits you? Not much argument there, right? Okay. It seems like it's going to get serious.
Yeah, so I stopped the story at Christmas 2010 because we were in Australia working the Australian school system. So you've got, the summer is November to January, February type thing. So their summer holidays start in December. So for our summer break, we wanted to go to New Zealand, myself and three other Irish guys I was living with, three good friends. And we went down to New Zealand, and as I say, I was fit as healthy as could be. And went to Auckland, went up north for a couple of days, did some jet skiing, great fun, and then back down and left Auckland one morning on the 7th of January 2011, and left Auckland, was on a bus to a place called Rotorua, and I decided to go for a nap. And a couple of minutes into the nap, the guys noticed that I was snoring really, really loudly, and they thought I was just kind of taking the piss and trying to draw attention to them and that sort of thing. And then they realized they threw something at me. It bounced off my head. I didn't wake up. Then they realized when they looked closer that I was going blue. So I was actually pretty much blue by the time they realized something was wrong. And then because I built up obviously quite a frame, and my body wasn't holding it up, so I was kind of like really hunched over, and I was breathing like this. I was like, and then I dropped back down because my body was just folding over itself. And then they said, "Oh God, something's really wrong." So they stopped the bus. No word of a lie. It was the bus driver's first day on the job working for that tour company. Stopped the bus. They carried me off, and they started to give me CPR. So I was taking protein and creatine at the time, but I couldn't take steroids because I wanted to be a player. Whereas one of the guys didn't want to be a player, so he did take steroids, and he gave me CPR. And he broke my rib. He just went straight down and like cracked my rib. So every morning when I wake up to this day, I have to crack my rib there, and because he pushed it in too far. So this guy gave me CPR. I was actually dead on the ground for 20 minutes, and an ambulance came along, and they gave me 6 shocks of an external defibrillator, which you gear up and shock. And that didn't work. There was still no sign of life. They put me in an ambulance, and they kind of agreed that I did have a lot more padding than most people because of all the training. And so they gave me a few more shocks. And they ended up giving me 13 shocks all told, and that got me going. Now I had life, but they were sure that my brain was going to be fried from all of the extra shocks. So they put me into an induced coma where they just bring down your body temperature, and I stayed in that induced coma for a week. The poor guys, like I always say, I had the easiest role in this whole play because I was asleep. Whereas the guys had to deal with their friend dying in front of them. The poor guys had to carry me off the bus, like this sort of thing. So then the worst part was, like, the only kind of part I've never really joked about is they had to call my family and tell them. And I can't even imagine how hard that would have been for everyone on those calls. And like the family powerless, the friends having to deliver that news. And they flew down, my parents flew down from Dublin via Hong Kong, whatever, a day or 2 days later. And they went via Hong Kong. When they got to Hong Kong, they called the hospital to say, how's he doing? And this was literally a day or two after. And they said, you're still going to be pretty much coming down to pick up the body. There's no sign of life, and it's not looking good. So it was really, really looking sad for a long time.
Right, come here, Just a Joy. We're going to go to Q&A and our comment from the floor in just a second, if that's okay, Mark. Thank you for being here. Before we do, though, what's Mark Maxwell taking from COVID?
Taking from COVID, to be honest with you, there's a fair bit. I've been kind of like really into work recently. I moved to London to set up the office there. I moved into management. Like it's all been very grown up. And my brother's 31 and I kind of live a more grown up life than him even. It's kind of ridiculous. So what I realized, because COVID presented me with this opportunity of you can go and work anywhere in the world, you can do whatever you want type of thing. And it was overwhelming actually. And I was thinking, I've been living the life of a fucking 35-year-old and I'm only 28 and life is short and I need to get a bit more youth back into it. So it's really kind of challenged me in that way to think, okay, all options open. What would you actually do? And I talk about this in the book I wrote actually, about when you're given an essay to write and it has no title, you can write about anything, people tend to struggle more than when you're just given the title. And I found myself in that problem. And it really encouraged me to just kind of take the reins again and really think for myself, what am I trying to get out of this whole thing? As opposed to just belligerently carrying on this course because people are telling me it's a good course, if that makes sense.